First, I'd like to say thank you, Dr. Morante, for helping me pass the ANCC exam. I did take the Flex crash course. I did the question banks, and the one-on-one was super helpful, especially with the fast facts that were provided. I'd like to thank you, Dr. Morante, for being such a supportive preceptor and mentor throughout my process. Your knowledge and experience and compassion are top-notch, and I'd recommend you to anybody. So again, Dr. Morante, thank you so much for being so supportive, and I am thankful that you were my preceptor, and the classes that you provided were very informative and really helped me to pass the test. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you to Dr. Morante for always being my cheerleader. His live review class was very informative, and the Q banks were hard that they honed my critical thinking skills and strategies for test taking. Dr. Morante has been very supportive, and his wisdom was always on point. Thank you for everything, Dr. Morante and PAS-NP, for helping me pass my ANCC PMHNP certification exam.
I passed! Thank you so much, Pedro Morante, for everything, for your mentorship during all of my clinical hours in my DNP program, for the PASS course that allowed me to have the confidence to excel at the PMHNP ANCC boards the very first try.
Remember your 2-2-1 rule, okay? All those questions that are difficult, sometimes they are non-scored, so don't stress about it. You should be great, and always trust the process, enjoy it. You're gonna be gonna be creating an impact to the community. Remember, it's not just to pass, but also to lead by example, to create an impact to the community. We're gonna celebrate tomorrow because you're gonna be a psych mental health nurse practitioner board certified from the Bay Area, California.
Oh my God.
Congratulations. Did you pass your board today? Wow.
The exam was very tricky. Some of the questions on your review was there. Good luck to the rest.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Attended our live class too in LA, right? The one in Koreatown.
Yes, I was in live class.
That was our live class. Congratulations. There you go. Lady Lou from California. Psych Nurse Practitioner Board. So proud of you from being my student to colleague.
Thank you, Dr. Morante.
Now, psych.
You guys,
board practitioner.
Dr. Morante is really amazing. He lets you be very independent, and you're gonna use a lot, because not a lot of preceptors would allow you to like do hands-on with patients. And you know, with Dr. Morante, it's like one of the best trainings I've ever had, because I learned how to create my care plan, and then just give like, you know, he would give input if you're doing the right thing or not. So that was really good.
Welcome back, everyone. This is your past Lockett-in review. So have a happy Friday. Are you guys ready for your weekend? Before we proceed, for those who are already here, go ahead and drop on your comment box where you're joining us today. For those who are new, welcome to our PMHNP Would You Pass Lockett-in Live. It is our every week we go live for and we do like several questions, we analyze it, we break it down to help you prepare for the board exam. This is a free review. It is our community outreach in the hopes that to create more psych NPs that could provide access to care to our vulnerable communities. So today we're covering one of the most intimidating topics on the PMHNP boards, the psychotherapy and psychological theories. Although it's only composed of about 15 to 17 questions in the board exam, still you have to master it so that you can pass your board exam. The good news, the exam rarely asks you to become the therapist. Instead, it asks you to recognize the founder identify the theory, know the primary technique, and determine which patient best fits this kind of therapy. Before we go and dive in, let me see. Tomorrow will be our last minute preparation days. We're going to have 6 hours of live review. Hello, Johnny Day. Hello, Gracie. Hello, Jan. Welcome, welcome. Let me see. Trying to see the. One second. So tomorrow is our last minute prep day. 1 second. There we go. So, sorry, we have some technical issues. And let's see this one. Give me 1 second. All right. So tomorrow is our last minute prep. For those who haven't signed up, I do encourage for you guys to like join us. It's a 6-hour live review. We're gonna break down at least about 175 questions. It's high yield, focused on the important things. So you don't have to study like thousands of pages of resources for the board exam. You only have to know what's important. Because like, again, I always say the board exam will test you if you are a safe provider. So that will be tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you haven't, go ahead and scan the QR code to register, okay? You have to invest in your success. Go ahead. It's usually a small group. It's a very small group because you want to focus on everyone and helping them to pass the board exam. And those for those who haven't, and if you're also new here, we have the Past Review Center PMHNP study collection. I was once a student too from Past Review, and now I'm a faculty. I use the Rise with Past to study for the board exam. It has a lot of graphics and images, and there's like so many mnemonics that would really help you memorize and remember things. PMHNP Master Field Clinical Concepts and the PMHNP Mastery Psychopharmacology. Even if you are still a student, I would really recommend this if you're still a student right now, if you are preparing to take the board exam, and even if you're already a new grad and already passed the board exam, the psychopharmacology and the clinical concepts will really help and guide you when you start practicing as a new grad Psych NP. So for those who are here today, we're giving away 10% discount. So use the word use past 10 as your coupon to avail of your 10% discount when you buy our study collection. Okay, my remote is not working. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. We're gonna go through, so we have 30 minutes today. We're gonna go through 5 questions, okay? Right. Question number 1. A patient tells the PMHNP, I know cheating on the exam would help my grade, but I couldn't live with myself if I did. Which component of Freud's structural model is primarily influencing the patient's decision? A, id, B, ego, C, superego, or D, unconscious? Go ahead and type your answer in the comment box. The patient is stating, I know cheating on the exam would help my grade, but I couldn't live with myself if I did. Which component of Freud's structural model is primarily influencing the patient's decision? Is it id, B, ego, C, superego, or D, unconscious? And the answer is? Our answer is letter C, the superego, because the superego represents the internalized moral values, ethics, and conscience. So it's usually like the seat of your conscience and conscience. Id is wrong because id is the seed where it's primarily responsible for pleasure principle. It seeks immediate gratification. Your ego it operates on the reality principle and mediates between the id and superego. And D is the unconscious or the level of awareness, not one of the Freud's personality structures. So if we're talking about Freud, we're talking about id, ego, and superego. Another important psychotherapy that you also have to remember that was authored by Sigmund Freud is your 5 psychosexual stages. It's high yield. It's very important. Your oral stage, your anal stage, phallic, latency, genital, stage. So it talks about fixations, personality structures. When a patient is talking about their childhood or something happened when they were 1 to 3 years old, that would give you an idea why they are stuck on having these kinds of behaviors. Let's go proceed. But first, let's discuss about the Freud's psychoanalytic theory. So, it it the com- it is composed of id, ego, and superego. So you have to learn how to differentiate each of them. Okay, id is your pleasure principle, instincts. I want it. Phrase I want it. Okay, ego is the reality principle, it's a decision maker or what's realistic, and superego is your morality principle, the conscience, what is right. Okay. For id, for the board trick, sometimes we would see the keywords. Id is immediate gratification, hunger, sex, aggression, impulses, substance use disorders. All right. Ego negotiates, problem solves, and reality testing. Meanwhile, your superego is your guilt, morals, perfectionism, and rules. So remember, id wants. Ego is your reality, and D is superego is should. What is right, right? Morality principle, what is right? That is your superego. And going back to like the 5 sexual stages of by Sigmund Freud, so you have to learn that oral stage is birth to 1 year, anal stage 1 to 3 years, phallic stage 3 to 6 years, latency stage 6 years to puberty, and genital stage, what is puberty to death. So usually oral stage, that's where like sucking, swallowing, feeding, fixations. So when kids whose needs around this time were not given, they end up having like mental health problems in the future. Say if a kid who probably was never really fed during the birth to 1 year old stage, and during adulthood, sometimes they would develop like fixations that is related to their mouth. So some of them would be like nail biting, people who are fixated in smoking, or overeating, people who have like eating disorders. For the anal stage, it's called the erogenous zone. The word itself, anal, bladder, and bowel control. So it focuses on independence and control. So strict parents, sometimes, we hear the word, oh, this person, you're too anal or something like that because of control. Some of these kids have strict parents that can create like anal retentive personality, rigid, obsessive compulsive personality disorder, or obsessive compulsive disorders. While lenient parents can lead to like an anal expulsive personality, messy, or being wasteful. So also the next stage is your phallic stage. It's your genitals. So children become aware of anatomical differences. On the board exam, you might hear a question, you might see a question. Say, for example, a 5-year-old kid was seen playing playing with their like sexual organ. What is the explanation behind this behavior? That is normal because the kid is on the phallic stage, that's 3 to 6 years old. So are you going to humiliate? Are you going to call the behavior in front of the public or in front of everyone? No, you don't. Okay, all right. So this is usually the time, the phallic stage, where the kids are more aware of anatomical differences. I am a boy, she is a girl, I'm a girl. So this stage features the Oedipus complex and your Electra complex. So this is where the child develops unconsciously develops beliefs for the opposite sex, especially like their parents. Next is your latency stage, which is 6 to puberty. Energy is channeled into social skills, school, developing, friendships is like FOMO. This is when those things happen. And then finally, your genital stage. So this is the maturing sexual interest. That's from puberty to death. The libido awakens, driving the individual toward developing healthy romantic relationships, empathy, and a balance in life. So those are the psychoanalytic theory according to Sigmund Freud, and you really need to master that. All right. You need to know what's normal and what's not normal. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead to question number 2. During a counseling session, the patient admits to relapsing after 6 months of sobriety. The PMHNP responds, "I'm glad you felt comfortable telling me. This doesn't change my respect for you, and we'll work through this together." Which core principle of Carl Rogers' person-centered therapy is best demonstrated? Letter A, interpretation. Letter B, unconditional positive regard. Letter C, confrontation. Or letter D, cognitive restructuring. Go ahead and type your answer in the comment box. Anybody? Remember your Carl Rogers. It's heavily tested in the board exam too. Johnny decided B. Okay. What is our answer? Anybody? We're talking about Carl Rogers. Core principle of Carl Rogers' person-centered therapy. The answer is letter. Yes, you're right, Johnny D. Good job. Rogers emphasized accepting the patient without judgment while maintaining respect and empathy regardless of behavior. So why A is wrong? Because it is a psychodynamic technique. Letter C is a confrontation. It is used several therapies, but not a core Rogerian principle. And letter D, cognitive structuring, that is your CBT, and that is not your Rogerian concept. Okay, so remember, Carl Rogers, this is your mnemonic. R represents for reflection, O for open-ended questions, G for your genuineness or your congruence, E for empathy, R for respect, S for self-actualization. Any questions on that one? Good? Okay, when you talk about Rogers, remember these keywords: empathy, genuineness, unconditional positive regard. Okay, those are your keywords. When you see those keywords in the board exam, think Carl Rogers. Okay, the therapist does not direct. Okay, the therapist follows the client. All right, question. Who is the father of the cognitive therapy? Very famous. A famous therapy that we use for depression, anxiety disorder, relationship problems. Father of cognitive therapy, that is your Aaron Beck. Aaron Beck. So the focus is changing distorted thoughts, thoughts and beliefs, feelings and behaviors. Yes, good job. All right. Now let's proceed to the next question. A patient with major depressive disorder says, "During CBT, I forgot to submit one report at work. My supervisor probably thinks I'm incompetent and I'll eventually lose my job. Which intervention by the PMHNP is most consistent with cognitive restructuring?" Letter A, let's explore whether these thoughts remind you of your relationships from your childhood. Letter B, what evidence supports your conclusion that your supervisor believes you're incompetent? Letter C, Try distracting yourself whenever these thoughts occur. Or letter D, your feelings are understandable considering your depression. Go ahead and type your answer in the comment box. So which intervention by the PMHNP is most consistent with cognitive restructuring? The answer is, go ahead and type your answer in the comment box. The answer is letter B. What evidence supports your conclusion that your supervisor believes you're incompetent? What does it do? It challenges the distorted thoughts, okay? Cognitive restructuring challenges automatic thoughts by examining evidence for and against them. Why A is wrong? Remember the keyword childhood. It's talking about psychodynamic exploration. So C, it's about thought suppression, destruction, not CBT, because CBT is challenging the distorted thoughts. Okay, what's your evidence that this is actually what it is, right? Yes. When you see the word childhood, think psychodynamic. That's why a lot of people are having difficulties with psychotherapy because of those things. So you really have to remember like those keywords. No, that's why you really have to be careful. Take your time, read the question. A is a psychodynamic exploration, especially because it's talking about childhood. So the answer is letter B. What evidence supports your conclusion that your supervisor believes you're incompetent? You are challenging their beliefs. No, because the word childhood. So for CBT, it's challenging. Cognitive restructuring challenges automatic thoughts by examining evidence for and against them. What's your evidence? Okay, is it true? Right? That is under Beck's, Aaron Beck's cognitive behavioral therapy. So it is created as a short-term, goal-directed therapy that helps patients spot and change distorted thoughts. Among all of the choices, letter B was the right answer because, read it again, what evidence supports your conclusion that your supervisor believes you're incompetent? Right? It's a challenge. You're challenging the distorted thoughts or automatic thoughts. So Aaron Back specialized on this and he used it on it's usually the common therapy that we suggest or we recommend for patients who have depression, anxiety, what else? And then that's why they have what we call the Beck depression inventory, which is like a scale that we use to score how severe a person's depression is. Okay. So what is CBT versus supportive therapy? Okay, you have to know what is your CBT, what is for, what is your supportive therapy. So basically, the difference is validation versus cognitive restructuring. So for CBT, it is structured, it is goal-oriented, it focuses on thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Those are your keywords. Identifies cognitive distortions of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Okay, remember that, write it down. When you see those keywords, think CBT, okay? Uses cognitive restructuring, helps the patient challenge inaccurate beliefs. So you have to challenge those beliefs. Often includes homework and skill building, present focus, and uses problem solving. Meanwhile, supportive therapy is relationship based, focuses on encouragement, coping, uses validation and reassurance, reinforces strengths and adaptive defenses, does not primarily challenge distorted thoughts, less structured than CBT, it helps stabilize and support functioning. So remember, CBT, it changes how the patient thinks, okay? Meanwhile, supportive therapy, it helps the patient feel heard, supported, and validated, right? Another question. What is the main therapy that we use for patients with borderline personality disorder? High yield. What therapy do we recommend for patients that are diagnosed with borderline personality disorder? The answer is it's high yield. I'm not going to tell you until someone puts their answer on the comment box. It's high yield. Yes. DBT for your borderline personality disorder. Okay, remember that. That may come out in your board exam. Okay, so let's compare Rogers, the CBT and Freud. Okay, for Carl Rogers, non-directive, CBT is directive, Freud is interpretive. Usually they talk about childhood, what happened around this time, what happened when you're around this age. Carl Rogers also present focused, reflection, empathy, and growth. CBT is more like present focused. Okay, cognitive restructuring, challenge the thoughts and thought change. Meanwhile, Freud is very interpretive, like it's mostly discussing what's in the past. Interpretation analyzes the unconscious, and insight into conflict. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead. Question number 4. A patient has attended 4 psychodynamic therapy sessions. Whenever discussion shifts towards the patient's relationship with their father, the patient suddenly begins discussing work deadlines and jokes about unrelated topics. The PMHNP should recognize this behavior as A. Projection, B. Displacement, C. Intellectualization, or D. Resistance. These are your defense mechanisms. You have to know your several defense mechanisms and their differences among each other. Okay? So the patient is doing psychodynamic therapy. Remember psychodynamic therapy? Whenever discussion shifts towards the patient's relationship, they change the topic. They begin discussing work deadlines and jokes about unrelated topics. So this the PMHNP should recognize this behavior as what kind of defense mechanism is it? Is it projection? Is it displacement? Is it intellectualization or D, resistance? Go ahead and type your answer in the comment box. Anybody? What is your answer? Anybody? Is it resistance? Is Johnny D right? Let's see. The answer is D, resistance. So it refers to unconscious behaviors that avoid anxiety-provoking material and interfere with therapeutic progress. Projection is attributing one's feelings to another, right? Intellectualization, using excessive reasoning to avoid emotions. Displacement is redirecting emotions to a safer target. Okay, if the patient changes the subjects, jokes, becomes silent, misses sessions, forgets homework, that's resistance, okay? If they start explaining everything in facts and logic instead of emotions, they're trying to intellectualize. If they blame someone for their own feelings, that is your projection, and then takes feelings out on a safer person or object, that's what we call a displacement. So you're redirecting emotions to a safer target. All right. Final question. During therapy, a patient states, "You remind me so much of my mother. I knew you'd eventually disappoint me just like she always did." The PMHNP notices feeling unusually defensive and wanting to prove the patient wrong. Which phenomenon is occurring in the PMHNP? Is it countertransference? It is projection? Is it resistance or transference? This very high yield. The answer is yes. It's letter A, countertransference. So the patient is exhibiting transference, but the question asks, it was a tricky question, but the question asked about the therapist's emotional reaction, which is countertransference. So that was a tricky question. We made it specifically for that so that you practice really reading. Remember, when you are answering a board exam, you have to answer what is being asked. Okay? So the question was asking about the therapist's emotional reaction, the PMHNP. So the answer is countertransference. So a transference is when a client unconsciously is from the patient to the therapist or the PMHNP. Meanwhile, countertransference is when it's the provider towards the patient. So remember that. So be careful in answering your board exam questions. You really have to read it because the question was asking for, let's go back. See, the PMHNP notices feeling unusually defensive and wanting to prove the patient wrong. Which phenomenon is occurring in the PMHNP? If the question changed to which phenomenon is occurring in the patient, then that will be transference. All right, I think that is our last question for today. We're gonna see you. Okay, so here's a breakdown of the transference and countertransference. You can running out of time, but like I said earlier, transference from the patient towards the provider. Countertransference is from the provider towards the patient. So, and you can go ahead and take a screenshot of this one. This is a free review. And that's it for today. I hope I see you guys tomorrow on our 6-hour last minute prep. And I also for those, let me just announce it here. Let me see. We just want to let you know for those who are joining us tomorrow and who already registered, we are having some glitches with the website. So it's the wrong time that comes out. So please, for those who will be joining us tomorrow, wait for the email. Okay, you're gonna receive an email link and details to avoid confusion. All right. So there's some glitches on the website. So wait for that email. Okay. Thank you guys for joining us, and then hope to see you again on our next session. So now we're doing every Mondays and every Fridays. So every Monday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. The same thing as Friday, 6 p.m. to like 6:30 p.m. All right. Thank you for joining us, and follow us on all of our social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. Subscribe on our mailing list. And then we really need your help so that we can continue what we're doing, to promote, please help us promote our community so we can grow further, so we can also like continue doing this for free for all of you. And that's it for today, and you hope you guys have a great weekend. See you. Bye.